Linda Sen. For a very long time, I was involved with the charismatic movement that has wormed its way through a lot of churches. I no longer go to church, though I do still consider myself a Christian. I've been watching your YouTube videos about being involved in Scientology. Once you got out, did you deal with a lot of anger? If so, how long did it last? If you dealt with anger, what did you do to get over it? Thanks for your question, Linda. Yeah, I did deal with a lot of anger, and it still crops up from time to time with various things connected with Scientology. But a lot of my upsets now tend to go in the direction of being upset with people who do things that just, just like, what are you doing? Fellow activists even and stuff like that. But I keep that stuff, sort of behind the scenes. I don't make public displays of all that stuff. As far as my anger with Scientology, and I know that's what you're asking about, I was a very, very angry person when I first found out about the deception and the level of duplicity of Scientology. And even when I found that out, I found out, as I continue doing this work, I keep finding that the rabbit hole goes down farther and farther and farther. But 2013, that year that I've discussed before, where I went down that internet rabbit hole and found out the truth about Scientology, resulted in me feeling extremely betrayed, unbelievably angered, and very, very motivated to want to do something about it. And so here I am, 4 years later, continuing to do something about it. But I'm not anger-driven now like I was then. I made a calculated decision when I started my YouTube channel that I was not going to be using my videos to channel my anger toward, Scientology at you guys. I was going to talk in a very different way because I feel that the best way to have content that is evergreen, is always good content to watch, whether it's now or 5 or 10 years from now, is to just stick with the facts, be rational, be rational, be reasonable, and just tell you straight what's up, with Scientology or with critical thinking or whatever it is that I'm talking about. So, how did I deal with this anger? One, having a YouTube channel and talking. This is very cathartic, right? Writing a book, writing essays. I channeled a lot of my anger through my writing. That was, and as I understand it, as I've come to learn, there's even therapies that revolve around writing out, what's in one's mind and getting it out on paper and getting one's feelings and emotions out there and experiences and whatever other things you want to, write down. And so I found that to be a very cathartic thing. I think education was also crucial to to sort of, bringing the level down on how upset I was. Talking to lots of people, other ex-members, family members of mine, to sort of like hash out the feelings and the mutual experiences with other ex-members. This is why support groups are so great sometimes, if they're well moderated. Was to be able to find out that I wasn't the only one that these things happened to. And then to find out, as I learned more about other destructive cults, to find out that Scientology wasn't even, the only thing where these things happened, where these abuses happened and civil rights and human rights abuses happened, but that there were lots of other groups and destructive cults out there where these kinds of things occur. And people are abused, and they come out of it, and they have to figure out what to do with themselves. And the techniques that are used in those groups. The day that the light went on for me, that I went, ding, when I found out that other destructive cults were doing the exact same things that L. Ron Hubbard was doing, was definitely a light bulb moment. I was like, wow. And suddenly, the world really did look a little different after that, because I had been so focused on Scientology, so sure that, it was the worst of all of them and nothing else could possibly be like this experience. Yeah, that's not true. There are a lot of things that go on in our society and on this planet of ours that are very similar to Scientology, very much like it. And And while Scientology is one of the worst because of the sheer number of techniques and thought reform methods that are used as part of its dogma and part of its methodology, where you find like hundreds of these techniques being used in Scientology, other groups use a handful of them and get the results that they get on people and abuse them accordingly. So anyway, that was very revelatory to me, and it was very enlightening, and it was very calming. It really chilled me out a lot. And I couldn't explain necessarily all the psychology behind that, except that it just helped a lot to understand more about where I had been, what I had been through, and how I might now be able to do something more effective to help people in these groups, because that's what education does for you, right? So I'd say the combination of those factors was what helped the most. And finally, the other thing that really can't be ignored at this point, because it's been 4 years, is letting time pass and just getting some time and distance away from the whole thing. That has also, there's just kind of no real substitute for that. You want to hurry it along. You want it to, you want the process to go. You want whatever the 5 steps of grief or whatever the recovery process, whatever model you want to use to describe the process. You kind of want the process to hurry up, but it can't hurry up. It really has to just go through the time that it has to go through. So, so those were the things I think that helped, kind of release a lot of my anger. I'm not particularly, really angry anymore. I'm not angry at anyone specifically. There are a couple people that I have said I will never forgive. So I guess there's still anger there. But that's a very small number of people. I mean, we're talking about, about 4 or 5 in the world of Scientology, who, even if they came out, I don't know that I could ever make good with them or make up with them. They're just, the damage they did to my life was just too great. But that doesn't include, former, my past exes or friends or people that I knew or anything like that. I'd be happy, way happy to get back in touch with so many of them. So, and I really do hope that those guys get out. Okay, so I think that's kind of the process that I've gone through to kind of chill, and I hope that some of that might be helpful to you in your process. And if not, you can let me know, and I'll dig deeper and see if there's anything else I might be able to give you in terms of any advice or anything. But that's the best I can say right now from my own experience.